All right. So, welcome to Apple iOS updates affecting Facebook ads. As I mentioned before, this is not just Facebook ads, this is anywhere that you would put a pixel, including your website, Pinterest, Google, YouTube, Snapchat, Instagram, wherever, LinkedIn, wherever you are running ads. This is important information for you to know. I also have this running in the Facebook group. So, if you have any questions, chime in. I'm going to turn myself off there. Hi, Cindy. Okay. So one of the most important things is about this is that we don't know exactly what's happening yet. And the reason why is because it's not fully rolled out until September. So like I said, this is the jury's still out. We're still deliberating and seeing what is happening. But these are the updates that you want to know so far is that Apple has decided to protect their users. I use quotes because data is the most valuable thing in the whole world. The top companies in the world have some of the most data, right? Google, Facebook, Tesla, Intel, right? Like owning data is so important. So throughout this call, I want you to think about the importance of your email list. That's data. So Apple rolled out that they want to protect their users, but they just want the data for themselves. That's like, hopefully Apple doesn't get mad at me for saying that. So it's just really a trade-off between personalized advertising and privacy. So things aren't going to be as personalized because you're not able to target people that deep. So if you're an Apple user and you might not be in the marketing space, you're like so excited for this. But us marketers are like, hey, I have great things to serve and I want to find my people. So you'll get ideas. Also, I want you to think about growing an email list and how a freebie is an opt-in, Tripwire can be your way around some of these updates. Okay. So right now, if you've been on Facebook, this happened on Monday, that Facebook is showing the prompt globally prior to Apple's early spring update. So if you have already gotten on Facebook and you have seen something pop up to say, actually, I have a screenshot of it a little bit down in these slides, but it says like, we want to personalize the experience for you. Basically right now, Facebook is smart. They're warming you up to accept being tracked, because if you accept being tracked on your phone, your ads are going to be personalized and Facebook is going to make money because everyone that's using ads managers is going to be able to be successful. For me, I personally don't mind being tracked online. I found some really great offers that have been targeted towards me, and I run ads, so I live by the golden rule. I would do unto others as they do unto me. So I will probably opt into those things to be tracked. And I have other devices that I can look on. For example, one of my laptops is a PC. So it's going to be really interesting to see the difference between my iPhone and my actual PC when ads roll out. So if you see anything right now on Facebook that says, can we track you? We're getting more personalized content for you. That's the way Facebook is spinning it, which I have experienced. So I understand that. I understand both sides of this, but this is for an Facebook ads perception and perspective of what we can do. So Facebook is doing that now to warm people up that hopefully when the transition comes in spring and the full rollout in September, that people will just be used to being tracked on Facebook and be okay with it. That's what Facebook is doing. We don't know what LinkedIn or Pinterest or any of these other ad platform related sites are going to roll out. So if you advertise on one of those sites and you want additional insight, definitely let me know. I've looked into Pinterest, so I'll probably be researching that one as well. The other thing is that this is kind of where it's at, is Facebook decided to design a prompt that it will let you know, like, we think that you would like to be tracked because we want to give you the best experience. That's Facebook's prompt that you'll see before Apple's iOS update. Okay. So as I mentioned, this should be fully implemented at the end of this, the beginning of fall. So let me know if you guys have any questions there. Some people are confused, like it's already rolling out. You might see it if you update your phone, the iOS, right? Or if you are seeing the Facebook prompt. Now, there's two parts here. Actually, we got a comment. I want to read it. So Apple's Tim Cook claimed your online life is being surveillanced as he defends a major iPhone update that will require users to give permission for their data to be used for personalized ads in the latest round of privacy battle with Facebook over privacy. So this is Apple, right? Like Apple wants the data for themselves. We're Apple people. Like this is my Apple phone, right? So like Tim Cook, he knows every waking moment of what I do. So this is what the company says, is that they don't want to share that data, but they don't want to say that because they don't want you to feel like you're the product, but you are. We are products because we use these items, right? It's not a big deal. It's not a big deal. But yeah, Cindy, thanks for chiming that in. So Apple's protecting their own data, right? And there is a lot of different types of surveillance, but when you buy a product that's owned by a company and it's a software as a service, they have all your data. So for me, it's hard for me to distinguish what the difference really is between surveillance of a targeted Facebook ad and surveillance of, they know more about me, like my text messages, everything inside of that format for data. So it's just important that like there's going to be people, you guys already know them, they're in your neighborhoods, they have signs on their door that says like no soliciting whatsoever, right? Like there's always going to be people that don't want to be sold to, and that's okay. So this is just putting it more on a very, very front surface, and it's going to affect more people because a lot of money is made when we retarget an ad, when we have the pixel on them and we're warming them up. And there's a lot of purchases that we've all made in our life where we didn't pull the trigger to purchase immediately, right? We shopped around, we wanted to see our options. And so this window now with the Apple update is much shorter. And that's why I think it's really crucial to have some really good freebies up in your business. So you're not worrying about the window as much. You're creating an irresistible freebie to collect an email address. Okay. So that's something, as I was researching this and working on it for my own business, I do think that it is important for me to go back to letting people like, know, and trust me with like a freebie versus, you guys know, I've always just ran like multiple SLOs to ads. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that, but I'm not going to be scaling that to like retirement, right? Okay. So good question, good comment. Thanks for chiming that in. So as we mentioned, this is just the pop-up phase before the ad tracking update hits in end of September. Okay. And let's see, I think that we just went over that last one. So they're doing this because that's how Facebook makes all their money, is businesses that choose to use ads. So yeah, so the best way to promote freebies and opt in for freebies. So we're going to talk a little bit about that because you can still use ads for that, but your budget's not as big because you're not paying to acquire a customer for a purchase. So there's lots of different things that we can work on, and maybe in the future call we can set up, we can go through actually offering a freebie with ads and what that looks like. And that's probably something that I will want to roll out before it comes in September, just because owning your list is a really crucial part of running your business. And I always say, like, your house is your business, but your customer list is your running water. And like, you don't ever want to be in a house where the plumbing doesn't work or that you can't turn on your water and get the drinks that you need to get the water. We need water to shower, we need water to eat food. I feel that same way about customers, that we should always be finding ways to bring people into our space. So another way to do it is by growing a Facebook group and collecting the email addresses that way. So offering community as something free is something that I also do. If you're a part of Authentic Boss Entrepreneur, you see that. So let's see. So great question. Would you ever offer a freebie without an opt-in, or do you always use an opt-in? I would always use an opt-in so you can keep track of where that is. I will tell you though, I do give freebies in my Facebook group, and people can join my Facebook group without giving me their email address, but I tell them like they're getting a better experience if they have my email address. So I would never really do a free download without getting an email address. Maybe if I had a list of like 50,000 emails or 100,000 emails, but like I really want to grow my email list and I only have a couple thousand. So I'd really like to get to 10,000 this year. So that's one of my goals. Just so I can impact more people as I'm rolling out, you know, the gamification side of my business. Okay. So that is a good question. I feel like you can give away really good free stuff in really value added posts versus like downloads. I do think you should trade, especially if you're hosting and paying for hosting for funnels and other membership sites, at least trade for the email address. Good question. Keep the questions coming. Okay, so the next one is, so ways to prepare for Apple update as you're using your ads manager. This was the post that I was showing you. Let's see if it shows up online. There is, would you like permission to track you across? So like this is a website. Palabout would like permission to track you across apps and websites owned by other companies. Your data will be used to deliver personalized ads to you. So this is Facebook's response to Apple's update. They're trying to be very proactive so we can say, yeah, we've opted in to allow tracking. So then when Apple rolls it out, we're just hitting yes, like let's move forward, let's keep going. So Facebook doesn't get crippled by Apple. So it's really just like a data fight. That's like the way I've been explaining it. So that is a great update there. So that's kind of like, if you're experiencing it, this is a Facebook prompt and not an Apple prompt. And I guess in a couple months, we'll be able to see the difference. Okay. So the changes to watch for when the ads, when Apple rolls out this update in spring and how it affects ads is in the following ways. Okay. So if we were on a Zoom call, I'd ask someone like, hey, will you read this for me? So tracking pixel action from Facebook ads, right? So any tracking, the tracking that we do for leads, add to cart, purchases, custom conversions, okay? So you will now be underreported due to people opting out of tracking. So someone can go to your site and they can say, no, I don't want to be tracked, but they can hang out on your add to cart page. They can hang out on other places and you wouldn't necessarily know that because they're on an iPhone. Now, some people have asked me, well, I'll just start targeting Android. That may happen, but when you think about your ideal customer and the type of life that they live, at least for me, running an agency based around gamification, and I do a done for you service, that is typically people that have a higher income. And studies from Facebook and Apple have shown that those people seem to like an iPhone more. Now, I'm not a discriminator against anybody. If an Android person wants to use my business, buy my business, that's fine. But right now, Apple holds such a big part in the marketplace for phones. It will be really interesting to see what Android does and what type of business can be done with tracking Android, because it doesn't go away. So when you're setting up ads, you can actually track Android only. And maybe that's something that I should be trying. It is important to remember that when you do deepen your targeting on Facebook, it does get more expensive. So maybe I could try getting more agency clients, targeting them on Android and see if it made a difference from Apple, right? And a side note for Apple is that there are more Apple users in the United States. So if you have a more global business, then it might not affect you as much. But for us that are kind of in this niche of running a business online, this is definitely something that we're paying attention to as a preventative to help us understand what we need to do inside of our business if we ever want to run ads, and what our options are when we do run ads. So any questions, just pop them in the chat or raise your hand if you're on Zoom, and let's go to the next one. Okay, so optimizing your ads for these actions. So because the pixel isn't learning as well, the ads possibly won't be optimized as well to people who are taking action. So there's just a lot less data. Apple they're keeping that data to themselves, right? And it's not to say that Apple doesn't have pixels on their phones or anything like that, but like they do have a back end, right? So I'm sure that they respect our privacy, but they're not sharing that information with Facebook or anyone else now. They're doing it as a privacy matter for iPhone users. So if you've ever ran Facebook ads, you know that the learning phase is about 3 days. And this is just letting us know that it's not going to be as optimized, right? And because we can't track when we do a conversion campaign, we will know less about the audiences that we're going for. And so it will be interesting. I kind of want like Facebook to throw us a bone. Anyways, so this is a really big part, retargeting ads. That means someone has seen your ad and you're able to talk to them again and again and again. And usually that's cheaper and you're able to convert more. And this is why Facebook Ad Manager, people running business online that use ads, they're talking about this, okay? So when you create a retargeting audience, anyone who visited your website with this new update, they won't see your ad, okay? And we don't have like a lot of clear definitions on this because they haven't fully rolled out. So we're just gonna call it a little fuzzy. But we know that they won't get retargeted unless they've opted into it, okay? So one thing that this makes me think about is how much it's gonna push us to have better ads. You know, like I have bought things off Facebook from one ad, like and I think it was funny. It was during quarantine and I had a set of dumbbells and I was like, I just want a dumbbell workout. It's what I want, just to do it at home. Kid you not, like a day or two later, this popped up on my feed and I bought it immediately. And it was fun. It was a fun workout. I've done it twice. So anyways, so I'm a little bit sad because I like getting retargeted. I like seeing like what people are talking about. So it'll be interesting. Doesn't mean you won't see an ad. It's just the retargeting aspect of it. If someone has opted out, the chances of you being able to retarget that number is lower. Therefore, building an audience off of that is going to be lower or non-existent because you have to have a certain number of audiences or audience number to build an audience. So it'll be interesting how Facebook responds to this. Sorry if this is like deep in the weeds. If you haven't run ads, you're probably like, this is going over my head. But if you're running ads, you're like, okay, I get it. I hear it. What do I need to do? Regardless, it's good information. So you don't turn on your ads with like super expectations to retire your family in 4 days. It's just a little different nowadays. Okay, so that's another change to watch for. Just check if we had any comments in the chat. Let's see. Okay. So the next one is that it is also going to be, the changes are audiences, and you won't have data on Facebook, right? You won't know who visited your site if they did opt out of retargeting, right? Or any type of ads. And you can't build a lookalike audience because you're not able to even aggregate that information. Now, this is fuzzy still, right? Because we don't know exactly how it's going to play out, but we know when we're restricting privacy, these are some of the things that come about in our path, things to think about. Okay, so app installs. Facebook won't be able to optimize around app installs or other apps related conversions for iOS devices if you have an app you are advertising. So this is something that doesn't affect a lot of us, but I'm working on researching this more because it was a new thing that I learned in my Facebook ads coaching research to be able to watch for. So the conversions will definitely be affected. Okay. So this is like what we kind of talked about: Google, LinkedIn, Pinterest, Snapchat, TikTok, YouTube, anyone that has an iPhone is protected from literally any site if they opt out of it. Target, Chick-fil-A. And this is why like a lot of companies are doing their own apps too. Because if you opt in to get notifications inside of an app like Chick-fil-A, and you don't want it, like they send me prompts when I'm like, I shouldn't be eating bad. I get a prompt to get, that's totally off topic, but watching out that the all advertisers are going to be affected. Okay. So don't think, oh, Facebook isn't going to work for me, I'll just move to Pinterest. It's going to be the same thing. That's why I think like maybe creating freebies and like content is organic is really going to help the little guys, the little us, because we have a lot of value to give and people still like to learn things for free too. So any questions there, definitely let me know. Okay, so something that Facebook is doing, and I'm not sure how related this is to the Apple iOS update, but I think it's pretty relevant, is that they're scaling back on the events that you can have for your account. And an event is a way to track somebody. Okay, so you used to be able to, like, if you had a funnel of like 8 things, you could go in and like name it all as a custom conversion and you could set it up. Now Facebook is scaling back to tracking events to a maximum of 8 events per domain. Now, one of my Facebook ad coaching mentors, he uses the same event in every single funnel. And I'm like, oh, he was so smart, because I learned that late and I wasn't able to implement that till later. But all of his purchase pages are the same pixel, and he just plugs it in as he goes. So that's probably really high level, but it's just important for you to know that you won't be able to just do 1,000 custom conversions. This probably affects Facebook ad managers a lot, because they're the ones that are setting these up for their clients. Okay, so Facebook will only be tracking conversion windows. It used to be 28 days. They're taking it away. So one is the 1-day click or 7-day click. That's the default to view, right? The 1-day click and 1-day view, 7-day click and 1-day view. So I need to do a little bit of research if we are going to like maybe push a freebie to see how that will go. What is the best window of attribution to target people to know, people usually take a day, or is it 7 days to grab your freebie? I feel like I grab freebies pretty quick, but I save a lot of ads because I just don't want to keep, I just don't want to buy stuff all the time. I want to think about it. I want to convince myself of the sell, right? Of the purchase. Okay. So things that you can do, and I think maybe we need to set up an additional call for this, or I need to do it and record it so you guys can see, is getting domain verified. Facebook is saying that this is important, and it's something that they think we just need to do inside of our business to be a more valid business online for our websites and Facebook. Okay, so I'm going to drop these links in the chat coming up, or on the actual post. Maybe I'll do a separate post so we understand this, because we want to start understanding how purchase and leads are coming from those Apple devices. Okay. And we want to be able to see how reporting might be affected. But we want to be able to, I guess maybe I jumped ahead. We want to choose the conversion events, right? Because we only have 8. Okay. And we want to be able to set it up that if we are going to run ads, we know our custom conversions. And this is kind of like the preface of this call. There's so much going on. So focus on getting email addresses, even if you're not running Facebook ads. Okay. So you can rely less on all of these things. And this is kind of like what we have talked about, I think, before in digital marketing, because you're going to have less control over being able to retarget somebody. Okay. So you can still definitely use ads for lead generation. You can use conversion ads, but you'll have an advantage, right, when the Apple updates. So I would just put a call to action out to everyone within the sound of my voice to do your part to build your email list. And one simple thing that I do is I just have Groups Pro. We had Robert come into the group and he did a training on how it can collect your data. That's been worth the $9 a month for me. Maybe it's 18 now, but just to have a customer list of people that come into my Facebook groups. Okay. And something really interesting is when you work in your Facebook group and you post in your Facebook group, I have a question, where did you find my group? People will say Facebook suggested it to me. So Facebook's not dead if you're not using ads. Facebook is still going to use its algorithm to find things that are relevant to each user and send them that way. So even this week I had 6 people that were recommended to come in. So anyway, so just remember the importance of having the email address and ways that you can get the email address. Even for people signing up for free events, grab the email address. It's just another step of you owning your own data. Okay, so here's the domain verification. I'll drop this in the group because obviously you can't write this down, but this is from Facebook, from the developers, where they're telling us what we need to do to verify our domains just to become more valid when these update comes. I think there is a lot of fishy spammy stuff out there. And so this is just another step that Facebook's taking as Apple is preparing to roll out their updates. They want to prepare their people to be successful too. Okay. So anyway, so for domain verification, you have to have a Facebook manager account and you have to, let's see, you have to have a website and you cannot do it for anybody else. Okay, so you must be a full admin of the business in order to do the process of verification. And let's see, there's only 3 options that you can use. So being able to make sure that you can do the domain verification. Like I mentioned before, I think we'll do a separate call with domain verification. So we know exactly what is expected of us and what we need to do just to prepare for these updates. But I would go back to that, focus on your efforts on getting email addresses. And so that's kind of where I've kind of take the paradigm shift or just the pivot to think about ways that I can collect my email addresses more. And if you use any type of email CRM like ActiveCampaign, they have pages now. You can roll out a page and you can do a form. And I've been doing that also. So there's lots of different options. This is kind of the preface of kind of what's coming for spring. So I want to make sure that we talked about it and understood the updates. Does anybody have any questions on this, or does anybody want to flip over to talking about any ads that they have on? I'll definitely hang out for 5 or 10 minutes if anybody has anything. And I think if you have suggestions for next call, it's not next Wednesday, but the one after, let me know and we can prepare something. I definitely think I'm going to write down domain verification so we know, because we all run businesses and it's something that we want to make sure that we are compliant just to be doing things on Facebook. So that was something that I thought could be interesting to implement together or have a tutorial for. Yeah, hey, Amber's here. It's just this great conversation. So yeah, I think it's really just understanding the way to leverage your time on Facebook when you're using Ads Manager and being able to collect email addresses that way too. Any questions that you guys have that I don't have the answer to, I have a Facebook coach that coaches me too, so we can get through these hurdles. But definitely just keep that in mind for this next year. Ways to prepare for the update is just to know, like, capturing email addresses. So I think it's never going to go away. And I love the talks that people share about being platform independent. Like, what would you do if Facebook disappeared in one day? What would you do if Pinterest wasn't there? So having an email list is kind of a lifeblood to your business. And it's a way for you to own your own data. And we live in the world of data right now. So data is king. Let's see, to answer all the questions. Yeah, so going back to the best way to promote a freebie, the technical side of that, put it in a landing page, tell them why they need it, share that link with your friends, share it with other people's audiences, start doing collaborations to start. That's something actually I'm working on for 2021 is more collaborations, sharing value, and then having their emails come into my ecosystem too. So anyways, it's, you know, people that have been doing organic strategies on Facebook, they're not even worried about these updates. So it will be really interesting to see. But having Facebook ads, we do know it can collapse time. I've experienced that myself last year when I ran ads heavily. I was really into it. So just think about ways that you can focus on your people and collecting email addresses. If you guys don't have anything else, I'll watch the comments and hang out for a minute. All right, you guys, love you. Peace out.